Hey everyone, I'm Rachel,
And I'm Jen, and welcome to Devilish Bookworms, the podcast.
where we read and review books and release episodes every Tuesday.
This week we have The Night in Its Moon by Piper CJ.
Yay!
Our story starts with two young girls in an orphanage, too young to remember their families, too old to know anything else. Nox is a couple years older and has been the protector of Amaris since her arrival. Since that evening, Nox knew life had changed. For years, their bond grew unbreakable, and they couldn't fathom a life apart. Well, as we all know, that's not how life works. Amaris was always the hidden treasure of the orphanage until one day her time to be seen had arrived. She was spotted, and a deposit had been put down by a woman from a house of disrepute. Nox and Amaris decided that they'd run away together, but unfortunately, their time ran short. So, in a desperate attempt to not go with this woman, Amaris decides to escape with an assassin. Dun dun
Dun dun!
dun. So, since they were separated by these unpredictable events, they still never gave up hope to reunite. But because Amaris did escape with the assassin, Nox ended up taking her place at the House of Disrepute. So now their only goal is to keep fighting for a chance to be with each other once again. And let me tell you, I love this story.
You did?
I did.
I'm so glad.
I love the fact that they just would go to the ends of the earth for each other. And it was just really adorable. It wasn't adorable. The whole story was not adorable, but their love for each other was adorable.
Yeah, that connection.
Yes. So, obviously, I know your takes on the book, but how did you feel about it?
I know that this book and this author get a lot of flack, but I actually like them both. I like the author and I like the book. And you know what's fun to me is the fact that you are kind of going into it blind a little bit to the author. Because, like, I've been following her forever, through the good and the bad. But this is your first introduction to her. So it's kind of fun. So this is actually, it's the second printing, well, not the second printing, but it's the second like edition. So Piper actually wrote this book in 6 days and self-published it. And then, if I'm remembering correctly, a publishing house reached out to her and was like, hey, let us publish your book. So then, of course, it like goes through the edits and all of the things and then was published. I feel like I don't see a lot of things. Like, if you were to go on and read the reviews, I'm not seeing a lot of the things that other people saw. Like, there's a couple of instances of head hoppiness, which, I can get over. You can get over. We can all get over.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I feel like a lot of people might not like the book because of the fact that it's very, very flowery language. It's very prose. Like, it's the week before, we were talking about The Wind Will Guide Us. And we were talking about how that was very like flowy and flowery. The Night in Its Moon, like she's basically just like she's just descended from Faye's herself. So like her writing very much reflects that. And I love that because it's so, the writing is so romantic, it's so flowy and it's so immersive, and I don't know, I loved it.
So I did not mind her writing at all, but I will say there was a lot of parts that were drawn out a hell of a lot more than they needed to be.
Sure.
There was a chapter for Millicent, and I'm sorry, but I really didn't give a shit about her backstory. She was the owner of the brothel. That was fine. Like, I was fine with that. Like, give me a little bit of her issues, fine, but I don't need to go all the way back to her childhood. I I did not need that. So, I mean, there was different instances though, but I mean, even when I still was reading those instances, it was still enjoyable. I really
Mhm.
enjoyed the writing and everything. It was just information I really didn't need or care about. But it was, like I said, it was done well.
You know what I'll say about these books? I think her newest series, I think the books are shorter. I'm not entirely sure. But like The Night in Its Moon is wicked long. How many pages was it?
So listen, I like this book so much I bought a physical copy. It's 528 pages.
Yeah, so the book's long. But you know what I love? I love the fact that this book was long because it was like it was written in a way that was fully immersive. Like this isn't a story that it's like boom boom boom, here's all the high points, this is what's going on. Like you go on the journey, and that there are some times that the book does feel like it's going on forever. Like there was a point that Jen, messaged me, or what were we on the phone, and you were like, I've been reading forever and I've only gotten like another chapter.
Oh my God. It was so funny because, like, literally, I had been reading for like 2 solid hours and I literally read only like 100 pages, maybe. Not even. Like, it was like so pathetic how little I had actually read, but it felt like so much. Well, it was so much, but it was just like not so many pages. It was a lot of information.
Yes, I feel like her books and her writing style, her books are books that you read because you enjoy being in the story. You know what I mean? Like they're not books that you want to just like power through or just read through real quick. Like, sure, people like series and stuff, but her books themselves, there's so much in it. They're so dense, and not in a bad way. They're literally just like you're reading that book because you enjoy being in that story.
I can agree with that because I mean, as far as it went, I was actually like really enjoying getting the backstory of the different characters and seeing their fight throughout daily processes and just all around like how they progress throughout the entire story. And she gives you so much to work with and so much to imagine, and but she also still ties it to reality and realistic outcomes. So I mean it just made it so much better.
Yeah, the emotion, I will say the emotion in the books are pretty realistic. Like people react in a way that is not fairy tale-y. They react in a way that's very real, and like you want people to always love the main character, but like sometimes people don't love the main character, and sometimes the main character does some shitty things, and then it's kind of
Mm.
like you know not to reference a specific part, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do.
No
I do
spoilers,
indeed.
but this book, I this was one case where I loved the prologue.
Okay.
I know I don't normally, but like I feel like this prologue planted so many seeds.
Yeah, that prologue was really great. And I think it captured that beautiful moment of their instant bond, and getting that so soon in the book was actually kind of really ideal, especially with how she progressed throughout the next few chapters of being in the orphanage and watching themselves grow up. So I think it actually tied everything together. Nice little bow.
Yeah, it didn't feel forced. Like the beginning of the book, you're introduced to them as basically babies, and then as children, and then as adolescents, and sometimes when people write backstories, I feel like it's forced, like it's rushed, or I didn't feel that with her book.
No, definitely not. I know it's not exactly story related, but I need to bring up her dedication because that killed me when I first read it. Yeah, here's a spoiler, the dedication spoiler. It says, can my dedication read to my buttery Chardonnay, manic episodes, and every child who wished they were a fairy? No, you can't thank alcohol, mental illness, and encourage escapism in your dedication. Fine, then I don't want one. And it just goes to show who she is as a person, and I love that. And I think she actually put a lot of herself in the two main characters, Amaris and Nox, because of the fact that her feisty personality was in both of them, just in different aspects. So it was really
Mhm.
nice.
Yeah, I she has some great dedications. That's just the first one. She does a different one for each book.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, they're pretty great.
So, who was your favorite character?
So the two main characters are Nox and Amaris, and Nox is basically the dark, and Amaris is the light. You know what I mean? Amaris is all, white hair, white eyelashes, porcelain skin, and Nox has darker features, and it even shines through in their personalities. So like Amaris, I think that her personality is based on how people treated her, but Nox was always like feistier. Like she was always like innately curious and kind of
She was the fighter.
yeah, she was the fighter like always. And
Yeah.
So Amaris being who she was, everyone kind of like catered to her. And it wasn't that she wanted it or like asked for it. It was literally like they were prepping her for something. But Nox was she just, man, she was who she was. And my favorite character is Nox by far. Like I loved her. I think that she had a fantastic story arc of like, accepting her demons. Like she's always in control of all things. I think because of the fact that she was basically put in charge of Amaris, she always took charge. And I loved her. Like I love when a woman knows how to like, I know that this is a weird thing to say, but like I love when a woman knows how to use her sexuality, like in a femme fatale kind of way, like in a like some men use their charm right to get whatever they want. They schmooze the right people. They do the thing. Like you have to know your strengths, and Nox's strength is tied to her sexuality, and she's very much that like she was very much like that Gilda, that Lana Turner kind of, she had that feel of knowing exactly what to do, what to say to kind of get what she wanted. But it wasn't really what she wanted. It was more so, for a greater purpose. And I loved her character. And she loved so passionately, and she would do anything for her loved ones. And yeah, Nox was my favorite for sure.
Okay. So, my absolute favorite was Ash.
I get it.
He's so adorable, and I love how feisty he was and playful, but he was a badass. But other than that, Amaris actually was my favorite.
Yeah.
She was treated like such a dainty little princess, but yet she still had the whole fuck the people attitude, and she finally decided to take action against what she needed, and she didn't stop fighting, and she actually made sure to push herself to the limits to do what she needed to become who she needed to be. And no matter what came her way, no matter what sort of obstacles she had, she still fought, she still prevailed. And I think that's a beautiful story, because someone that's typically in her position would have given up. They would have
Mm-hmm.
thought, it's too much work, it's too hard, I can't do this. But she never did that. She never broke, and I think that right there just made her my favorite instantly. I understand that Nox was a badass, but the whole thing was she wasn't that badass. She had Nox to be that badass for her, and then she became her own badass.
Yeah, and you're 100% right in such a drastic way. Like the way she took her life into her own hands was so
It was
it was
incredible.
so incredible to like it was amazing and so clever. Like I wouldn't have thought of that, you know what I mean? But man.
To be able to do that, to be able to take your life in your hands the way that she did, just shows how much strength she really had, that she was holding back that whole time. So I don't know, dude. Like I gotta give it to her. She came from nothing and went to something, and good for her.
Yeah, I agree completely.
But Ash, though, I like Ash.
Those men, and like so at one point, there is like, once Amaris does take herself, take her life back essentially, which she had never had before. She comes across a man who takes her in. His name's Odrin, but he takes her in, and like it's another one of those beautiful examples of like that kind of paternal like love from someone that isn't like she had never had someone like that before, so for someone to actually care about her, unlike the people in the orphanage, it was so cute. I loved it.
Yeah, he was definitely such a great father figure for her.
Mm-hmm.
And she needed that.
Oh, so I actually, when I bought the books, I only buy them from Barnes and Noble because the Barnes and Noble exclusives come with novellas at the end. And so The Night in Its Moon, I think, is the one that has Odrin's novella. So each of the novellas is like the backstory of someone. And that one has, I think that one or the second one
Please hold, I will
has,
tell you momentarily.
do you have it?
Yes, that is where I bought it.
Oh,
I literally, okay, so listen, I was enjoying this book so much. I was like, you know what? I understand I have it on my phone and, it's fine, but I'm gonna want to read this again. So I went and bought it the other day. Um, so I was late for a company, but it's okay. They
that's
survived.
okay.
They survived.
The mistress can live.
So the sun and its stars is in the book. Like it's like 2 pages worth of maybe three of that. But other than that, that is the only thing besides the epilogue. So
Yes. So, what a bummer, man, that yours doesn't have it in there. I wonder if you can like return it and then get the one with it.
no, because you can tell it's been read.
Ah,
Yeah.
so the novella is A Night Without Whispers, and it's Odrin's story. So it's basically like his backstory. So read that if you can. So Jen said that her favorite character was Ash. Now, when Amaris and Ash are out on a quest, for lack of a better term, they Amaris stumbles upon some other characters. And the way that she meets the other or is introduced to the other characters is by someone coming up behind her with a knife to the throat. And I don't know why I love that so much. Like it was kind of like a shoot first, ask questions later situation. And I'm not that person. Like I usually want to get information first. But like I understand why the situation was occurring the way it was. But like I don't know. I thought that was a nice way to be introduced to someone.
Well, that would be your type of introduction, wouldn't it be? Oh, knife to my throat. Hi.
Hi. Whoops.
Oh, Lord, have mercy. Yeah, he was just like such a fun character. So I don't know. I loved him. But I did love the back and forth between the four, well, yeah, the 5 characters that ended up coming into play during that quest.
Yes, the
So,
banter.
yes, it was so fucking hilarious. It was so funny.
She really did write the dialogue well.
She really did. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, there was some parts where I'd rather have read the dialogue than the little bits in between because they were information I didn't need to know. But at the same time, I would force myself to read it and then I'd be like, I guess I needed that. Or
Do you want to know my favorite quote?
oh my God,
Do you want to know?
Got so excited.
Do you want to know?
Go ahead.
He barely gave Amaris time to react before he loosed an arrow.
You know, I actually have that highlighted in the digital version. And I said, what is with people with loose to breath? But later on in the book, she said she used loosed for something else. And I was like, now that's the proper way.
Oh, it was so the second because I've read the book before, so I listened to it this time. The second I heard it, I was like,
literally, I have it highlighted. And I was like, loosed, what is it with people using loosed? Ugh, that's exactly what I wrote. Oh Lord.
yeah. And you know what's funny is like when we mentioned that on the Akatar episode, the author Bethany Baker, who wrote The Gentle Dark, you should look that up if you're into certain things. But she even reached out. She was like, I think that it was supposed to be like in this context. And Jen's like, I don't care.
It's just
not in an I don't care like that way. It's still bugged, you know?
Oh yeah, it still bothers me. It still bothers me. You lost a breath. Funny. You didn't loose a breath. Okay.
Loose as in like to loosen.
Ugh, I don't care.
Not lose as in to lose.
Loosen your breath then. I don't fucking know. Just like don't loose a breath.
I die. But did you have a favorite quote? I have another one. But what was yours?
I have a couple of favorite quotes.
Ooh.
But my all-time favorite is love broke her heart time and time again until there was nothing left but death. I don't know why.
I feel that.
Well, I know why, but I love that line.
Hashtag relatable.
Yes, very much so. But one of the quotes that I absolutely loved, I actually put on Threads, and I'm just gonna, say it. Piper CJ kind of requoted us. Just saying. Just saying.
Yeah, the way that we basically like freaked out via text message to each other when Piper quoted or she reposted. Yeah. It's fine.
Yeah, it was totally fine. But the quote is this. Those feelings were something she shoved into a small wooden box deep within her. It was an airless, impenetrable container with no perceivable latches and mechanisms. One that she refused to touch. She wouldn't be able to function if she allowed herself to take them out, playing with her painful memories like toys from a treasure chest.
Yeah, she did a really good job of tapping into like emotions, loss. That was just, it was a great way to, because sometimes we just push things down until we'll never be able to find them again because it's self-preservation. Like if we even looked at them, we wouldn't be able to go on. So here we are.
Yeah. Yeah, that one there hit though. It hit so bad because it's like those are the feelings that you really want to leave unfelt. So I'm just like, I read that and I was like, fuck you for making me feel those feelings that I wanted to unfeel.
Yeah. I actually loved the quote, she was in the worst kind of love, the one that would never be returned. She knew it, and yet she couldn't leave.
Stop it. I have that wrote down too.
Yep.
Yep.
That.
Yeah.
I actually, that kind of brings me into like one of those not tropes, but like a dynamic, like a relationship dynamic that I love but makes me so sad. And that is like the person who isn't the like quote unquote the one, but tries everything they can to be the one. Like that, like the widow that Noah had a relationship with in The Notebook, you know? And like she was the one, she was not the one, but she tried so hard to be the one. And like there's something so tragic and like I don't know. It's one of my favorite dynamics, but man, it's so sad. It kind of reminds me of like there's this song, I don't know if you've ever heard it, um but it's from Taylor Bradshaw, and he does it as an advertisement on like Instagram and Facebook, and the words are like, I know you want to see him again, in fact I know he's always on your mind. And it's just like, ugh, punch right to the gut.
And see, that just reminds me of the old song. You're always on my mind.
Yeah, that song makes me cry.
Yeah.
Fun fact. Fun fact. That song makes Rachel cry.
Mm. It makes me think of practical magic, but you know.
Yeah. So Jen, you said you had multiple favorite quotes. Did you have another one?
Yeah, I did have one last one that I really wanted to bring up because I think it's important and more people need to pay attention to. Um, it's after all, every child deserved unconditional love from their family for exactly who they were, not who they hope their child might be.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's like super important because your child is never going to be what you want or be who you think that they're going to be. They're going to be exactly who they are. And the more that you accept them for who they are, the more that they're going to be able to be comfortable around you. And that's super important. You need that relationship with your child. Your child needs to have the ability to come talk to you about anything. If they feel uncomfortable, they're not going to come talk to you about anything. So I think that whole quote just kind of hits the nose right on the head, where more parents just need to accept who they have for a child and love them regardless, because that's all your child really deserves is 100% of your love, nothing less.
I think that I don't have anything to add to that because that was beautiful.
Why, thank you. So it kind of actually brings me to like the relationship that Millicent and Knox had. Now,
Mhm.
Millicent is the madame. She is the owner of the House of Disrepute, and she's kind of like Knox's new mom, in a sense. Because I mean, she's only what 16 when she goes there, uh, maybe 15, somewhere
I
around
think
there.
calling her Nox's new mom is that's mighty nice of you.
Well, I'm trying to not downplay it, but at the same time, what else would you call her besides her madame?
Her boss. That's I don't
Well,
know.
because
Well,
no, she
guardian.
owns her. She
Yeah,
owns her. So I mean, it's like
her guardian.
I suppose. So either way, like the only reason that she wanted Knox was because she didn't get Amaris. And the the biggest part of their relationship is it basically is built on an entire fabrication of the truth. So she gives her enough of the truth of what exactly happened to Amaris to make it believable, but then she kind of twists the truth to her liking to make Knox do what she wanted. And it's just like she literally didn't have any sort of empathy or love for Knox until she found out how much more she could benefit. And it's just like that's the type of relationships I constantly see with parents versus children. Like the parents don't really give a shit about their kid until they can do something for them. And that's a problem. And it was a problem for Knox, and it was going to be a problem for Millicent because, you know, once you build a relationship off of that, it's never going to be stable. It's never going to be anything more than what it is. And it's eventually going to crumble. So,
Yeah. Well, I think that adds to why all of the kids were so scared in the orphanage. Like their best case scenario was to be adopted by a family who wanted children, but most of the people who purchased the children didn't want children, they wanted help. Like they were being sold to fishermen to work on fishing boats or to work on farms, or and that's kind of unfortunately what life was like for a lot of kids who were in orphanages in throughout history. I mean, obviously this is
Yeah.
a fantastical world, but
Kids were still sent to workshops and died doing that kind of work. So, I mean, it
mhm.
still holds true.
Yeah. So yeah, unfortunately Knox kind of didn't have she was never going to have a family with Millicent because she was just another pair of hands.
Yeah. Well, she was a pair of something, but not
Stop
hands.
it.
I'm sorry. Oh.
Well, that actually brings us to a point that I wanted to talk about because so Piper CJ is very um, sex positive, sex work positive. We are also very sex work positive. Well, and she's actually so Piper's actually she's not just like sex work positive, but her book in general kind of brought in healthy dynamics in that area. So, like you see different instances where it is used, like physical touch is used to gain something, such as knowledge is used, is weaponized, there's different scenes where it's obviously gone, showing love, showing things like that. There's also an instance where a character is trying to have a physical relationship with someone, and then that person is like, wait, hold on, this is not really what you want, and there's that healthy boundary that happened, and it was kind of defining the relationship between like the two people, and then also what their relationship should be and what it should not be. um and I loved the way that she used it in different areas, like all different spectrums. It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
just this is what sex is for.
I happen to actually see a post of hers on Threads. I think it was last week or the week before, that she actually was a sex worker,
Yeah.
Piper CJ. So
Yeah.
yeah, I thought that was actually really cool that she wasn't even like downplaying it. Like she was like very open about it, and she was like, yeah, I used to work in the sex business. What of it? But she was actually educating someone on how the way that they're thinking was actually setting women back. And
Mm-hmm.
I thought she did it very delicately, but also perfectly to educate them. So I don't know. I was very impressed when I saw that she was that open about it, and just willing to educate someone where they fell short.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. And actually it's kind of a running theme. You can see a lot of um like you kind of hit the nail on the head earlier when you said that she kind of puts a lot of herself into her characters, and I don't think she just puts them in her characters, like into her work in general. Like, The Night in Its Moon is a bisexual fantasy. It's a bi fantasy, um and that is very important to Piper because she is a bi woman. And so she wants to make it, or she it's another thing that she's very open about because she wants to make it very clear, like, this is the point of her books, and if you are not okay with some things, then I mean, hopefully you get okay with it, or it's just not the book for you. A religion is another one. It's another thing that Piper is very open about, because the fact that she was raised in a very strict, and this is all things, I'm not saying anything out of pocket, like this is all stuff that she has said in her content. She has a very complicated relationship with religion, and you can see the role that religion plays in her story, how it shapes the characters' lives, how everyone looks at it, and or how everyone looks at the religion differently.
Even how some characters question it at one point.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's the perception is different for each of the characters. She definitely did put a lot of herself into the books.
Yeah. and it really is apparent. Now, I can't believe you said that she wrote this in 6 days. I mean, that's just insane to me. Like, girl, girl, like, what did you do? Like, did you even sleep or breathe or eat? Like, come on, like, holy crap.
Yeah, if you go back, I'll kind of put all the info out there, but if you go back into her content, she does talk about how she wrote it in 6 days. But then, like I said, I think our version probably went through some because we got the edited, well, not edited, but but like, yes, the first draft was written in 6 days. I don't know where I was going with that.
I mean, I wonder how much was added or subtracted from it. That I would be interested in knowing. Did it go from like 300 pages to 500, or was it like 700 pages and they took it down to 500? Like, because the way that it seems like her brain works is that it's just like, I don't want to like sound mean when I say this, but it feels like she's just like, I've got to get all this information out, and it has to be, every detail has to be perfect. And like, she does a great job with detail. She adds so much, just the way that different people smell, and the color of their lips, the way that their eyes shine in the light, or the way that their hair is. Like, there's so much detail. And it's like, you've got to be like very meticulous to be able to write all that freaking detail in there and be able to visualize it. That's the key. Like, I could visualize this lilac purple eyes, or the silver hair, or the inky black hair with the plum lips. And, like, I could sense all that. I can see it. Like, what was it? It was like the smell of vanilla as they entered the brothel. And I was like, oh my God, the one thing that I could smell was that vanilla from the 90s from Bath and Body Works. And I just like, I started choking, and I'm not even actually smelling it, but it was just like, that's all I can smell was just that spray. Her writing really does immerse you fully.
It does. And like, my favorite is the way she describes Nox's smell. So Nox smells like plums and berries, and that kind of like, I think plum is like the reoccurring descriptor that she uses. But every time she talks about how Nox smells, I'm just like, oh man, I could see it. Like, I can, you know what I mean? It's there.
Yep. Absolutely.
Oh, one thing I want to talk about, and it's kind of backtracking a lot. There's a coping mechanism that Piper uses a lot, and it's disassociation. And the way she writes disassociation to me is absolutely stunning. Like, she uses it, one of the characters uses it a lot whenever she's in a traumatic situation. And Piper follows the lines of thought as the character disassociates, as she goes to a different place in her head, as she finds her happy place or whatever. And every time I read those scenes, because there's multiple, but every time she reads those scenes, I just love the way that she writes that coping mechanism. Did you catch on to that?
Yes. I related a lot to that, because I was like, this is how I disassociate.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's why I picked up on it right away. I was like, fuck. I know I've got problems, but I mean, Jesus.
But she did it in that way that like makes you feel it, and you're like, oh.
Yeah. Because especially when there was one part where she's just staring in the fire, and she's just like fully out of it, not paying attention to what's going on around her. And I've literally done that. I think it was actually last summer. I sat at the fire pit by myself, and I'm just sitting there staring into the fire, just disassociating. And all of a sudden my daughter appears and just like scares the shit out of me, because I just was so far gone in my own little disassociation that it just I didn't even hear her. But yeah, she does really well with trying to make you be in their position, make you feel all of their emotions.
Yeah. Nope, I totally agree. I'm really glad that you like this book.
I knew I was going to. It was just like it was a matter of it feeling so daunting.
Why? Because it's
So
such a giant freaking book.
yeah, you look at it and you're like, oh my God, like this is ridiculous. Like I don't know if I'm gonna make it through it in a week. And then I'm just like, oh, but this is actually really good. And then I keep reading and I'm like, okay, it's fucking long. It's a lot. But it's so good. Like I said, I own the digital copy and I still went out to buy the physical copy because I knew it was going to be something I'm going to read again. And I could have used that money towards a new book or 10 other books that I had spied in Barnes and Noble. And I said, no, Madam Piper, you are coming home with moi. So it is here.
All right, this book was written by Piper CJ. And if you have ever seen any of her posts on TikTok or not really Instagram, but mostly TikTok, she has a master's in folklore. If you do look up her socials, you'll see videos of her explaining vampires, angels, selkies. I'm pretty sure selkies are her favorite. And of course, the fae, all of the above, anything and everything. She explains what folklore is, the Mandela effect. She had an episode on that. But yeah, she has her own website, which is pipercj.com. And if you go on to her website, there are links to where you can buy all of her books, all of the Night and Its Moon, which are, let's see. So there's The Night and Its Moon, which is the first one, The Sun and Its Shade, The Gloom Between Stars, and then The Dawn and Its Light is coming out today.
Comes out today. Yay!
It comes out today. She also has another book series, which is No Other Gods. Book 1 is The Deer and the Dragon. I actually have not read the other No Other Gods because I haven't finished the Night and Its Moons series yet, but I am looking forward to reading that.
Can't say I blame you.
She also has, you can find on her website, she has a bunch of merch. So she has sweaters, she has t-shirts, she has candles, she has like prints, all kinds of stuff. You can find her on Instagram and Twitter, and she is on Threads at Piper_CJ.
And just saying, she does interact because she requoted us. I'm not gonna give that up. I'm sorry.
I know. I'm the worst. Like, I will never be that person who's like super. I want to be that person who's like super chill and cool, right? Like that person who's like, oh, you're a celebrity, or like, listen, I do it with Nenia every time she posts or like responds to us. I'm like, hi. I'm never gonna be cool. I'm just always gonna be that person. Whatever.
You're so cute. And see,
thanks.
I'm the one that, you know, sees Flava Flav on the streets of New York City, and I give him a dirty look for looking like a fool with this clock. But you know,
I saw Flava Flav in a CVS once.
That's hilarious.
He was buying a little girl medicine. It was actually really cute. It's the only time I've ever, you know, like seen him, or like I think I did watch Flavor of Love the first season, but like I, you know, I don't interact with celebrities or whatever, but like it was just cute.
Yeah. We got a couple of like, I can't say they're big time, but local celebs over here that I've interacted with, or you know,
Who, Ben Affleck?
No.
I don't know. I thought that was so funny.
I wish.
If does Matt Dillon come into your store? Matt Damon is what I meant.
I
Where's he from?
I wish Matt Damon would come into the store. That would be freaking awesome. I would love that.
Are you more of a Matt Damon girl?
Yeah.
I'm a Ben Affleck girl.
Oh, see, do you like apples? How about them apples? Oh, yes.
That was so funny.
That was my favorite thing ever. I think that's literally my favorite part of every movie that he's ever played in.
That's such a great. I watch that movie whenever I miss Massachusetts.
Oh,
I know.
it's such a great Mass movie, though.
It is.
See, we're famous for some things. Ben Affleck and Matt Damon.
Mark
and
Wahlberg.
Tom Brady. Yeah, that one too.
Not the Clintons. The Kennedys.
I forgot about Wahlberg. Okay, we got a Wahlburgers in town, and I forgot about him.
I've never been there. There was one in Vegas, but I never went.
Okay, listen, it's okay, but to pay like $12 for like a burger that you get the size of McDonald's, no thanks. Their fries were good.
Wait, just to say I did it. I've done dumber things.
Yeah, you have. You spend real money on games on your phone.
I used to spend real money on games on my phone. Now I'm unemployed.
That'll do it to you. Oh Lord.
Whoops. If only I had that money now.
Oh, no shit, right? I've spent real money on games too. Simpsons tapped out. I've spent like maybe $3.
How dare you judge me?
Oh, I'm judging you because I've only spent literally like $3 on all of the games. Except like, okay, I think I bought
You're
Lego
just a better
Star
person
Wars.
than me.
No, I just have a little more self-control and I spend my money on other crazy things like 1,500 plants and all the books.
All the books.
All the books. There's so many.
I have no self-control with those.
Yeah. Okay, but are you ready for what we're reading next week?
Yes, Jen, what are we reading next week?
I'm so excited. I'm sorry. I'm really excited about this one. So we are reading The Master of Salt and Bones by Carrie Lake.
Woo.
I'm so excited.
I don't know why I wooed instead of yayed.
I don't know. It's okay. I went ooh, 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 ooh. So anyways, but yes, it's another large book though.
Well, we'll just have to buckle down.
Oh, I'm ready. I'm ready.
I'm ready.
All right, everybody, join us next week for Master of Salt and Bones.
For another scintillating episode of Devilish Bookworms.
Yes, it's going to be a wild ride.
All right, everyone. So go ahead and click subscribe and chat with us on all of the things. And we'll see you next week.
Yes, you will. Bye.